Welcome back. I-24 News, still Monday, March 6, 2017. Last I checked, I'm still Leah Levy, and it's time for Earthview. Yes, that time of the week to get our green fix. And Daniel Roth, of course, went out for us specifically to check out another dying, well, I wouldn't even say historical, you know, an amazing, amazing natural resource that might not be with this world anymore. So without any further introduction, let's take a look at the following report about the demise of the Dead Sea.
Where are we?
Well, we're actually at the lowest place on the face of this planet. It's the Dead Sea, which is unfortunately getting lower and lower every year due to man's intervention.
I mean, we're seeing sinkholes here. The water has receded 25 meters in how long?
In 60 years.
What's going on here?
The Dead Sea is actually sinking because of two problems. One in the north, where the Jordan River does not flow into the Dead Sea anymore, and here in the south, where the industries are using the waters of the Dead Sea to harvest minerals. Unfortunately, though, the Dead Sea mineral industry is not asked to pay for the water that they use. Here what we're seeing are evaporation ponds, industrial evaporation ponds. The most antiquated and the most water-intensive way to harvest those minerals.
How much impact does climate change have on the situation in the Dead Sea versus industry's direct impact?
There is an impact here, but it's really the man-made industrial impact that is really making a difference in the Dead Sea. This is not just an Israeli issue. There's a mineral industry on the Jordanian side, also not paying for its raw material, which is water. Israel and Jordan are, of course, after the peace treaty, are much easier partners in trying to find a solution. The Jordanians always are trying to bring in the Palestinian issues. Of course, everyone wants to save the Dead Sea. There's nobody that will say, we don't care what's happening here. This is a region with, it's so small, all our water resources are shared. Almost all of them are shared, especially here the Dead Sea and the Jordan River that feeds into it. And it needs to be a comprehensive, regional, sustainable management system that will secure the livelihood of nature and the residents. What's important is to understand that this is a long-term solution. And nothing's going to happen overnight, but we need to start yesterday.
And joining me in studio, of course, Daniel Roth of Earthview, and with us also Gideon Bromger, Israeli Director of EcoPeace Middle East, Middle East EcoPeace. Daniel, just a quick question to you. When you were there, I mean, does it show those sinkholes are all over the place, aren't they?
All over the place.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable. There's thousands of them now, and they began just, they began looking for them, I think only a decade or two ago, but they've been really sort of changing that landscape in what you can see is really sort of almost a post-apocalyptic way, these giant sinkholes. And I, a couple of years ago, was hiking near there and actually almost fell in one of them. They're dangerous, and they're a potential cause of loss of life. So far haven't caused that.
And Gideon Bromberg, you and I have known each other, I think, for approximately 15 years, because this is not the first time that any journalist reports about the demise of the Dead Sea. But nothing's happening.
Unfortunately, the Dead Sea continues to drop by over a meter in depth every single year. And it's the same causes. It's the continued demise of the River Jordan and the impact of the industry in the south that's drying up the sea.
That's drying up the sea. You had a solution once before, right?
And we still have a very important solution on the table.
Tell me the solution.
So, EcoPeace Middle East, and we're unique. We're Israeli, Jordanian, Palestinian together.
All working together. All
working together for our shared environment. We've put on the table, we raised €1 million from the European Union to undertake the first ever master plan of the Jordan Valley. And that master plan showed that we can bring back some of the waters from the Jordan River back to the Dead Sea.
Because that was the source of the Dead Sea. The Jordan River is the source of it.
Absolutely.
No longer, but was its source.
Exactly. In fact, the Dead Sea is the terminal lake of the Jordan River. And when we've, over the decades, diverted 95% of what used to flow down that river into the Dead Sea, then we see the results. So we're realistic. We're not trying to bring back all of the water. We're trying to bring back a quarter of the flow of what used to historically flow down the Jordan River. And in fact, we're trying to promote Israel's leadership in the field because Israel is a world leader in water. Israeli technologies in wastewater reuse, in desalination have changed the game really. And although water is still not plentiful, we do have the technology in place
to save the Dead Sea.
To save the Dead Sea.
Why do you think that's not happening then?
Because of the politics, because of the costs involved. There are costs involved, and there are parties reluctant to pay. So when it comes to the mineral extraction industry, as Mira said in the article, the industry refuses to pay for the water that they consume. 40% roughly of the demise of the Dead Sea is due to the industry on the Israeli and on the Jordanian side. When industry don't pay for water, they have no incentive to invest in technologies that would use less water. So first and foremost, we have a major corporation on both sides that don't have an interest to see, in fact, these corporations benefit from the demise of the Dead Sea, because as the Dead Sea continues to shrink, it becomes easier for them to extract the minerals.
The minerals out of it. If this continues, though, am I correct in saying that the last time I saw a number of when the Dead Sea will be gone would be 2050?
So I don't think the Dead Sea will disappear by 2050, but it's going to continue to shrink, and we're going to be left with a dirty puddle rather than this amazing lake that King Herod
would call one of the key wonders of the world, I would say.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, King Herod built his palace on the shores of the Dead Sea to escape the hustle and bustle of Jerusalem and enjoy the serenity that is only found at the Dead Sea.
At the Dead Sea. Very sad. I hope people will hear this call because it's not going to be 2050, but if this continues, it will be soon. It will be within. Gideon Bromberg and Daniel Roth, thank you so much for joining me this morning. When we get back, it's the viral spiral that is the Web Review. It's not dying. The Dead Sea is, though. Okay, don't go anywhere.